to make sure I felt bad.
I know, right?
4x4.
Where am I at?
Oh, you are.
No, here.
Sit with me if you want. I would assume that means you
How far am I?
What's your name out, cuz? Dave? Dave? Dave. That's yeah, right. My hat? AB's the
Hey, listen, whatever you owe her, I would call it all square. For the record, I haven't talked to her.
Showtime.
I still gotta sit by you. I don't mind sitting by you.
There's nobody here. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dan.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's from his.
One of the people.
Yeah. I thought I remember, yeah. For the, tell us about the.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep.
Okay. I thought I knew. He looks familiar, but then I'm like, I don't know who the hell he is. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
I just wanted to read it. It was different. You're giving me a magazine, didn't know. She's done a good job. Yeah. I only did see
I said, listen, Tim wrote it. I trust it.
Yeah, I just want to see this.
Yeah.
We had to do that before.
Yeah,
And I just wanted to see.
I mean, I like it. One signature on the back. They only do school districts for audits. Do you do other things other than just school districts for audits? That's it. Maybe a little nonprofit? Yeah, well, maybe. Our fire department may be looking for somebody to do an external audit.
Hi, Jen. Jen.
She'll charge me 20%.
We'll call to order. No objections, we'll add 2 to 5. I don't need to. 2 to 5 on the agenda. Under presentation, I feel bad because I forget your name, young man.
It's Chris Robertson.
Chris Robinson, with Turnley. You got the stage.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. So I have given you a lot of material, so again, I'll just introduce myself, Chris Robertson from Turnley Robertson Associates. I'm one of the partners for our firm. We were previously known as Mark C. Turnley CPA. We've kind of expanded the firm, added a few different partners, myself and another person called Travis Ganara. So we're now, this is our new name, but we're essentially the same firm, a little bit broader, a little bit bigger, but I have given you a packet for the audit that just recently ended. This is in draft for it. Actually, this is the final version, sorry. So we had, as usual, 2 different audits, or part of one. We audit your financial statements, and we also audit your single audit programs, your federal programs. In both of those cases, we have good news to report that those are both clean audit opinions. For your regular audit, it's called an unmodified opinion. For your single audit, we tested your Title I programs with without any issues in terms of the compliance requirements. So you were compliant with those main requirements that are required by the federal auditors and federal auditor. We also, I do want to thank the business office as well as Cherie for all their help and cooperation. That was great to work with, so that made the audit a really nice process for us. I also want to mention we have no findings for the federal audit. We have no specific internal control comments. I've given you some documentation. You have the CTC, and you have the school audit. So the CTC audit was also on modified opinion. That's because you get on your school, which shows up on your school's financial statements, but it's also a separate audit. So we had no finding. I wanted to point your attention to this letter that's on top or within your report, and it starts off with the general fund balance analysis at the bottom portion. So if you turn to that, at the bottom of this page, we have a general fund balance analysis. This is over 5 years. You have a very consistent fund balance, and especially over the last 4 years, between 19 million and 22 million. And so this is an ideal scenario. Got a small increase in your fund balance from the prior year. Again, that's good. You're probably not going to necessarily make money incrementally. It's at the margin, so that's good. You have an increase in your fund balance of $250,000 for your general fund versus your prior year. So it's about 1%. You could turn to the next page. This is another 5-year chart. It says your unassigned fund balance. And your unassigned fund balance is to be used at your discretion. It's a reserve fund that's required, or that's allowed by the state up to a certain point. You're within, there's something called Section 688. You're within the parameters of Section 688, which you have unassigned fund balance that is appropriate given your revenue levels. And so that if you were to, especially increase your real estate taxes, you wouldn't be restricted in that sense. So your fund balance is considered, your unassigned fund balance is considered reasonable and useful for future purposes. Some of the paragraphs below here do talk about so you're under the 8%, which is required for your revenue level, so you don't have a unassigned fund balance more than 8% of your approved budget for the audit year, which is appropriate. You turn to the next page, please. Just some more trend analysis, multi-year analysis. The top analysis is for your assigned fund balance. So you do have the option to also assign an amount of the fund balance for a particular purpose. So that's approximately 15 million, which is about 3/4 of your fund balance that you set aside for health insurance, retiree health insurance, also known as OPEB, and especially future salary and benefits, as well as the PESER's pension plan. And that's set aside potentially for those purposes. If you look at the second set of information, the second table, this is your 5-year revenue history for your general fund. If you look to the fiscal year 24-25, which is what we're auditing, you had approximately $88 million in revenues, and you did have a decrease from the prior year. Mainly that decrease is a function of the ESSER 3 money going away and to some degree being replaced by increases in real estate revenues, special ed revenues, and also ready-to-learn supplemental grants. Those mostly offset those losses. So you have to switch between from the federal going down, state going up, almost offsetting. You can turn to the next page. At the very top is 5-year expenditure analysis. And over the last 2 years, you have very comparable expenditures. You did have a small decrease from 23-24 to 24-25 of about $500,000. That decrease is a function of mainly increases in special ed program expenses and also support services, but they're offset by a decrease in transfers to other funds. So last year you had a large a large transfer to your capital project fund, whereas you didn't have the same transfer this year. If you go toward the bottom of the page, we talk about general fund budget versus actual results. Your actual revenues exceeded the budget revenues by approximately $3 million. And we kind of list some of the areas here, your local source revenues, those were over budget by about $1.9 million. Some of that was due to wage tax increases above your budget, unexpected, as well as your real estate delinquent tax collections, those were by budget. And, you know, fairly normal from our perspective that you would budget for those conservatively, especially for your real estate, delinquent real estate tax collections. Those are not always, those are not always known, so it's a bonus when you do recover more than you expected. The next little piece of the second area here is the general fund actual expenditures. Those exceeded budgeted by $2 million. So you do have a favorability to the $3 million above budget for revenue, but only $2 million above budget for expenses. And below I have some bullet points about what specifically drove those amounts over budget. And special ed programs were over budget by $1.6 million. And there's some other factors in there as well. On your financial statements, there's something called Exhibit G. That will show you more information by all the areas. This is just kind of the highlights of that section. You can go to the next page, please. These are some overall operating results for, and specifically this is the food service operations. If you go down from food service operations line item to net position, the net position was a negative $1 million. That's mainly because you have a pension liability associated with the food service program. If you did not, you would have had a $2 million net position in that fund. And that's typically driving this negative net position of the food service fund. So that's not a short-term cash flow, it's a long-term actuarial calculation, which is and if you just go down to the section called, the next section, pension and OPEB liabilities, this gives you some perspective on the significance of those liabilities. So for example, the PSER's net pension obligation, that decreased by about $10 million from $100 million in the prior year to $90 million in the current year. That's driven by the actuarial calculations. That doesn't have an immediate current impact. Typically, what you will see is as the pension obligation does potentially increase, they may raise your contribution rates. That's typically the impact. They'll raise it to make sure that that program is in sound shape going forward. So it's projecting it, okay, next year they're going to raise or even in some cases moderate that employer contribution. I think it's stuck around 34%. But for a long period of time it was increasing exponentially. Now it's kind of slowed down, I think, with probably the new cohorts. They're keeping them expensive and lots of retirements. All this impact. The rest of the documentation, there's some other comments about internal controls. They're general comments. And as I said, we don't have any specific comments, but these are some general comments about your real estate tax collections and also about typical aspects of internal control. What you look for segregation of duties, and you look for oversight. So we had no findings, no issues in that regard. I did want to point out, so if you could turn to the package, the bound package for the disclosure, and I just briefly want to show you under the exhibits. So if you go to page 1, exhibit A. So if you go to the table of contents. Page 1. And I've already kind of given you an overview. I do want you to see, the specific financial statements that are, for your district that, we help to audit, obviously, and, helped you to pull these together for this purpose. So Exhibit A, this is your statement of position. This is your long-term outlook financial statements. We take the financial statements that are on your books, and then we help to add in the debt, long-term assets, and then you come up with something called net position. It's equivalent to your fund balance, except it's being increased or adjusted for your fixed assets and your long-term liability. So if you look under the governmental activities column, and you go down to your non-current assets line item, it's about a third way down the page. You have $77 million in fixed assets, so this is adding that amount to your government activities, and your legislative activities. And if you go down towards the bottom under non-current liabilities, it's about 2/3 of the way down the page. And you look to the net pension liability and net OPEB liability, and you go all the way over to the right-hand side of the total. So your total net pension liability, as I mentioned, $90 million. And right below that, the net OPEB liability is $15 million. And if you go down the page further, go down to total net position deficit, it's the third line item from the bottom. This is showing $78 million deficit with this set of financial statements. That's almost entirely driven by the pension and OPEB obligations. So just wanted to point that out. That has a major impact on these financials. They're required as part of your audit, required by the state. So if you could go to Exhibit C, which is on page 3, so 2 pages forward. This is your balance sheet for your governmental funds, and you can see from top to bottom assets, liabilities, and then essentially fund balance. So as you're going towards the very bottom, you see the total fund balance is $23 million, which ties into the other trend that I showed you that's been remarkably consistent over the years. And as you go on this sheet, you can also see capital project fund, and then there's a career and technical center fund, which is the one that I told you that gets folded into the Scotia financial statements. It's required as a they call it custodian. And if you could go 2 more pages, I just want to show you this last one too. This is essentially the net income statement for your governmental funds. It's also called the statement of revenue, expenditure, and changes in fund balance. Also, essentially your net income. Your general fund is the first column after the descriptions of revenues and expenditures. And you can see $88 million in revenues for general fund, $81 million in total expenditures. And then your other financing sources, you had a transfer out of approximately $7 million. That's for your debt service. And if you go over to the right, you can see that, and it goes as the transfer into the debt service now. And just going towards the very bottom, you can see the net change in fund balance for the general fund is $254,000. The capital project fund had some excess spending of $199,000. Then all the way to the right-hand side, for all of your governmental funds, you had an increase in the fund balance of $55,000. So overall, you steady improvement in your fund balance. You have consistency in your revenues and expenses. You've been able to, like law school, push through the COVID funding going away. You've got some other funding sources coming into play, and the state's trying to make up for that. And like I said, unmodified opinions, clean opinions, everything's in good order based on our audit. And of course, if you have more questions about this packet, we can answer it, especially after the fact. If you want more time with this information, that can be addressed. But are there any questions about what I have presented so far? I know I kind of just, it's kind of quick. Trying to do an overview because I know it can get, it can get drawn out. But,
Anybody else?
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have nothing under public comment. Under athletics, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. I request approval of, this is supplemental hires. Request approval of the following supplemental contract, 2025-26, junior varsity baseball assistant coach, varsity softball assistant coach, varsity track co-assistant coach, middle school track co-head coach, middle school assistant track coach, and middle school assistant track coach. Any questions or objections? Like to have that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
26-27 supplementals, varsity football offensive coordinator, varsity football defensive coordinator, varsity football assistant football coach, varsity football assistant football coach, and varsity football assistant football coach. No questions?
Hearing
On
none,
that, I'd like to have
questions?
that placed.
We'll place that on the agenda.
Under Letter 8B, volunteers, request approval of the following spring volunteer coaches, baseball, softball, and track. No questions or objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Hearing no objections, we'll have that placed on the agenda.
And that's all we have. Mr. Renzi, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Evans, do we have to advertise all those 26, 27 supplementals?
Yeah, yes. Mr. Renzi, did you say, do we have to, or did we?
We need to?
No, we did.
Oh, we already did?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, those positions are already filled.
No, we posted those positions last month, and we are potentially filling them
Okay,
Wednesday night.
We're gonna put names on Wednesday.
Correct,
I
yeah.
got it, thank you.
Yeah. I didn't understand what you asked me,
I
sorry.
didn't know what I was talking about that now.
Mr. Martucci, you got anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing,
That's
thanks.
all we have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mortuary. Under Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Request approval of the following event and building usage request. Items 1 to 5, no questions, 1 to 6. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request a conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following additions to the maintenance substitute list for the 2025-2026 school year. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Request approval to solicit bids for the Vale PA system at Bullskin Township Elementary School. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Any objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval to solicit bids for the Vale PA system at Collinsville Area High School. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Question,
Yes.
what do we need one in high school for? What's wrong with it?
When that bell system was installed, it was very soon after that was discontinued, and the parts are no longer made for that. So anytime something has to be fixed with the system here at the high school, they have to go out and attempt to find used parts, and that is becoming, at this point, almost impossible because we're about 13 or 14 years out of that system being made. So it's been discontinued a little too long to, still find parts basically.
So when they redid the whole school, they didn't put a new system
No,
in
they
there?
did, and shortly thereafter, that system became discontinued.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hearing no objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
And letter E, request approval to solicit bids for the paving of Bullskin Township Elementary School. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And we had a Building Grounds Committee meeting held on February 19th, 2026. Mr. Martucci, anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Kirsch? Mr. Biggs?
On this time, thank you.
Nothing. Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Detweiler.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Under Carnegie Free Library, Mrs. Sankston.
We have nothing, Mr. Martray.
Nothing.
Ms. Driscoll.
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you. Under Collinsville Area Career and Technical Center, Mrs. Driscoll.
Okay, 11A Spring Occupational Advisory Committee, OAC list. Request approval of the Spring 2026 Occupational Advisory list as attached. With no questions or objections to make that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And that's all I have. Mr. Harshman,
I have nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Sankson,
Nothing, thank you.
and Mr. McCollum. That's all we have.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Driscoll. Under Curriculum, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Request approval of the 2026 through 2029 Comprehensive Plan Professional Development Plan, Act 48. An induction plan, Chapter 49, with no questions or objections. I'd like that placed on Wednesday's agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval for the following employee travel. Kristen Pavlovich to attend the Western Pennsylvania Council of Teachers of English Conference at St. Vincent College, Latrobe, PA, on Wednesday, March 11, 2026, at an approximate cost of $310. With no questions or objections, I'd like that placed on Wednesday's agenda.
Hearing no objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval of the summer school proposal as presented. With no questions or objections, I'd like that placed on Wednesday's agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval of the 3P learning renewal for math seeds and reading eggs at a cost of $16,157.10. as proposed, pending solicitor review, subject to the Collins Area School District standard terms and conditions for the purchase of goods and services. No questions or objections?
Question.
Go ahead.
This one we had before, right? Yes, okay. I remember. Okay, thank you.
All good?
Hearing no objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval of the renewal of Mystery Science with the Mystery Writing Bundle at a cost of $10,896, pending solicitor review, subject to the Collins Area School District's standard terms and conditions for the purchase of goods and services. With no questions or objections, I'd like that placed on Wednesday's agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Request approval of the agreement with Voyager Sopris Learning for mathematics materials and training at a cost of $25,115 to be paid from EITC funds and federal funds pending solicitor review, subject to the Collins Area School District standard terms and conditions for the purchase of goods and services. No questions or objections.
Okay. Explain that to me. What is this? I looked it up and I just didn't see much good, I didn't see much of it.
It is a mathematics program that supports the skills of students who special need remediation. So we're thinking that it'll be appropriate for our mathematics students at the secondary level, for special ed students, and also possibly for some interventions for students who need some remediation.
So this will be for all secondary, not elementary, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hearing no objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
And there was a curriculum meeting held on February 18th, 2026 at 9 a.m. That's all I have. Mr. Panzella.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Harshman.
Nothing, thank you.
And Dr. Coons.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Detweiler.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. Under federal programs, Mr. Martray.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. We did meet on February 20th, 2026, and talked about the allocation of the federal money, but we have nothing to report this time. So, nothing for Wednesday. Mr. Harshman, do you have anything additional?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
Dr. Coons?
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martray. Under cyber, Mrs. Driscoll.
I have nothing under cyber. Mr. Panzella?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Martry?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Ghost, do you have anything? I had to look for
Looking
you,
over
sorry.
around. All right, thank you, Mrs. Driscoll. Under finance, Mr. Panzella.
Donation according to policy 702. Let's see, request approval to accept the attached donations as presented.
Question. Why did we stop putting the donations on here of who gave what to acknowledge that they gave something to our students? Some people can't get as president. I can't get it, and I haven't been able to get it for 7 years. But now all of a sudden, if either you don't want to read it or something, somebody
I don't
doesn't.
think it's the same one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we talked about that last meeting, that just for the sake of time, like when we spread student service, travel, curriculum travel, and things, when that list gets extensive, to do it as presented, but I'll leave that up to that committee, how they want to handle that moving forward.
I think they need to be acknowledged. Some people just can't see the as presented, which I can't, and I would like to know who did what, and, you know, if I see them on the street, I can thank them for helping our kids.
Do you want them listed, but,
That's up to your committee. I'm just saying my point of view, because I don't get as presented, and there's a lot of public people, there's elderly people that don't get that, but they would like to know if their son gave a penny to somebody, or maybe the elderly lady gave the son $100 to give to the Bible club. She don't know.
I didn't know who changed that and put it in.
Is any attachment? Oh, okay.
Also, it's on there.
On it online? We'll have them
Maybe
listed.
Wednesday.
We'll have them listed there it'll be on there for Wednesday, so, we can list them like, yeah. We'll list them.
There are no objections, we'll place that one on the agenda.
Request approval of the attached requisition orders and to authorize business district business office to process purchase orders and payments. No questions, objections. I'd like to have that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Budget transfers. Request approval of the budget transfers as presented. No questions or objections. I'd like to place that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Request approval of the 26-27 general operating budget for the intermediate unit 1 in the amount of $549,552, which includes the Collinsville Area School District contribution of $35,281.48. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing no objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Next, request approval to nominate John Detweiler to serve as the school board director from the Eastern Region for trustee of the Allegheny County Schools Health Insurance Consortium. No questions or objections. I'd like to place that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And that's all I have. Mrs. Driscoll?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Mrs. Routson? That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Under food service, Mrs. Sankston.
Request a conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following additions to the cafeteria workers substitute list for the 25-26 school year. No questions or objections. I would like that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Mr. Harson?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Triffino? Yay.
Thank you, Mrs. Sankston. Under personnel and review, Mr. Panzella.
The following family and medical leave act are confirmed by the board. Hearing no questions or objections, place that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Next, request approval to accept the retirement of a teacher effective June 1st, 2026. No questions or objections. I'd like to have that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Next, request approval to accept the retirement of a teacher effective June 20th, 2026. No questions or objections. I'd like to place on the agenda.
Place that on the agenda.
Next, request approval to accept the retirement of a teacher effective January 2027, first day of second semester. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Request approval to accept the retirement of a cafeteria employee effective March 31st, 2026. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
No objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Next, request the conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following additions to the long-term professional substitute list for the 25-26 school year. No questions or objections. I'd like to place that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Next, request approval to hire the following support personnel effective for the 25-26 school year, subject to completion of all necessary clearances, employment documents and requirements, and applicable board policies, including without limitation. Board policies 504, 508, and 509. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Next, request the conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks to the following additions to the professional substitute list for the 25-26 school year. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Next, request approval for the disability leave of absence of an aide and monitor from a certain time until another time and subject to renewal extension pursuant to the terms of the applicable collective bargaining agreement as determined and approved by the district administration. No questions or objections. I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Next, request the conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following additions to the support professional substitute list for the 25-26 school year. Hearing, no questions or objections, we'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
Next, request to approve the memorandum of understanding with CAEA regarding the FOLA K-4 coordinator position. No questions or objections, we'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And I believe last but not least, request approval for the personnel leave of an absence of an aide of a monitor from a certain time into another time and subject to renewal extension pursuant to the terms of the applicable collective bargaining agreement as determined and approved by district administration. No questions or objections, we'd like that placed on the
No
agenda.
objections, we'll place that on the agenda.
Got a drink?
Oh, yeah. That's all I have. Mrs. Driscoll? Or no, I'm sorry. Mr. Renzi?
Mr. Witt, what's the last day for retirement? I know the incentives path, but what's the last day for retirement?
So, and March 1st would be the operative date for when we want retirements by, for end of school year.
For the end, okay. It's all day.
Mr. Martucci?
No, sir.
And Mr. Witt?
Nothing further, thank you.
That's all we have. Thank you, Mr. Detwell.
Mr. Panzella, under policy and legislative, Mr. Mortrey.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Second readings, request approval of the second reading of the following policy: 249, bullying and cyberbullying, and 339, uncompensated leave. And no questions or objections, like to have that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
18B, this would be the first reading, so if anybody would like a copy of this, see our secretary, please. Request approval of first reading of the following policies: 202, eligibility of non-resident students; 236.1, threat assessment; 254, educational opportunity for military children; and 607, tuition income. And if there's no questions or objections, I'd like to have that placed.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Mr. Renzi, you got anything additional?
I don't, sir. Thank you.
Mrs. Driscoll?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing else, thank you.
Witt?
Nothing further, thank you.
That's all we have.
All righty, thank you, Mr. Mortrey. Mr. Martucci, under safety and security.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Request approval to accept a proposal from Critical Response Group for a mapping system in the amount of $26,967.50, with payment to be made from the PCCD grant funds. With no questions or objections, I'd like that placed on Wednesday's agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And that's all I have. There was packets there was a memo in our packet explaining how this system works. And thanks, Mr. Parlak. I think it's a fantastic thing. So would you like to add anything to that?
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Great idea. It'll help out greatly, I'm sure. And Ms. Driscoll,
I have nothing else, thank you.
Ms. Langston.
Nothing, thank you. I think it's a great idea, too.
Yes, thank
I
you.
agree with you.
Perfect. That's all we have, Mr. Detweiler. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martucci. Mr. Renzi, under special education.
Thank you. Request approval for the following employee travel. Caitlin Miller, elementary gifted support teacher, to attend a Western Pennsylvania Gifted Regional Day Conference in Homestead, PA on Thursday, March 12th, 2026, at an approximate cost of $294. No questions or objections, like I placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
And we had a special education informative and intelligent meeting held on February 9th, 2026. Anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Panzella?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Martucci?
No, sir.
And Mrs. Bonner? Sure. Okay, thank you, that's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Under student services, Mr. Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Student Services, item 21A, travel in accordance with policy number 121, and I'd like to spread numbers 1 through 35. And no questions or objections, I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place it on the agenda.
21B, travel in accordance with policy number 431. Request approval of the following employee travel. Dr. Lori Rosenstiel to attend the Pennsylvania Association of Pupil Services Administrators Annual Conference from Wednesday, April 10th to 12th, 2026, at approximate cost of $1,254 as budgeted. No questions or objections, I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Item 21C, off-campus bass fishing tournaments. William Bauer, Bass Fishing Club Facility Advisor, requesting approval to allow CAHS Bass Club members to participate in optional off-campus tournaments as a district extracurricular club, with parent-provided transportation, parent permission, and required safety documentation on file as proposed. No questions or objections, I'd like that placed on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
That's all I have. Mrs. Sangston,
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Rosenstiel.
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harshman. I'll stay with you under technology, please.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. 22A, E-rate Category 2 proposal. Request approval to accept the proposal from Advent Communications for E-rate Category 2 switches and managed internal broadband service at a cost of $3,287.77 per month for 24 months. Total cost of the project is $526,042.56, which includes installation, configuration, and management of the new hardware district-wide. CASD is responsible for 15% of cost, $3,287.77 a month, with E-rate funds covering 85% of the cost, $18,630.67 a month. No questions?
Question.
Objections?
Question.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, the cost of this, do we have to put this up for bid, that kind of money?
It already was,
It was put out for bid?
yes.
I'd like to see the bids.
Was it the November or December meeting, we advertised, they were opened on February 9th in a public meeting at the central office.
And how did you do that public how did you let people know about that public
It
meeting?
was advertised in the paper for 3 weeks.
No, I don't get the paper.
Not
Okay.
even.
We were told about it. We were told what day it was gonna be opened.
I don't remember.
No, I wasn't told.
How
Yeah, we
many
were.
bids did
Yeah,
get?
yes, we were. We were all
What's that?
How
told.
many bids?
So the way the RFP was written, there was a.
It may be January
walkthrough
meeting. I
that
wasn't
was
here.
held,
We were all told it
over
was
Christmas
before that,
break.
as I remember.
We had 2 vendors attend that. We only had 1 vendor that actually
They may
submitted
have even sent
proposals.
us text too. I have to.
Who's responsible
Maybe an email.
after the 24 months?
I didn't get them.
Are we responsible for the-
Send an email.
So this
It
is
might
structured
have to.
similar to like a copier lease where we are making monthly payments
go, but I-
at the end of the 24 months.
I thought that's what we had this, we voted on this
The
before.
RFP was written that if we choose to continue with the managed internal broadband service, there were 3 one-year optional renewals. And so we can execute those if we so choose at the end of the 24 months. That's not at $3,000, it's at $900 a month.
Is that MIS license, is that what that is on those?
MIBs, yes.
MIS, what's the license on the switches?
The usage license on the switches, I don't have the cost of that beyond the,
I swear, did I read that we pay like 30 grand a year after that, or no?
that was an estimate. And we don't, there's other options that we can execute at the time.
Okay.
Do you have an idea what other options would cost us?
So if we choose not to execute the optional renewals, we can put MIBs back out for bid. So E-rate operates on a 5-year cycle. This is the start of a new cycle. Our budget is based off of our total student population. It worked out to be over $700,000 is my E-rate approved budget. And then E-rate will cover 15% of that. So at the end of this 24 month, if we choose not to use the optional renewal, then I can put the managed internal broadband back out there because there will still be funds in it.
Do you think that we should put this out for bid again?
That's up to you. So what I can tell you is that E-rate operates a portal. There are people that check that portal, I'd say probably 3 or 4 times a day to see if there are any RFPs posted to that portal. And it's advertised. It's not only is it advertised in local papers, but it's also available on a portal that is accessible nationwide. We had 2 companies that attended the walkthrough. We only had 1 that submitted a proposal. I don't know if you're going to get anything by putting it back out for bid.
Question, so if the E-rate does the hardware and everything, then it would be hard for somebody else to come in to do that anyway, right?
E-rate is broken into 2 categories. Category 1, which covers our internet service and the fiber connections between our buildings. For many, many years, we were pretty much locked in Armstrong. We are obligated to put that up for bid every year. We have seen proposals from Verizon. Armstrong's proposal was the best cost. Category 2 is for your internal connections, so these are switches, wireless access points, internal fiber connections, and then cabling like that. I mean, anybody can come, like, we put it back out for bid, anybody can come in. We don't have to accept this, but what I can tell you is these switches have been running nonstop for 8 years now. They still function, but they need to be replaced before they start dying. I thought this was a good opportunity to structure it, again, similar to how we do a copier lease, where we don't own it outright, we're not responsible for it outright. The company that does it is leasing us the equipment, and at the end of that, then we own it. And we would be responsible for managing it unless we choose to extend the MIBs on it.
Okay.
So, and at the end of that 2 years, I mean, we can re-advertise MIBs, we could, whatever's left in that budget, we could add additional switches. It's just every 5 years of a funding cycle that changes it. So,
Thank you. That was a help. Thank you.
When's the current contract?
because we don't have a current contract.
Any other further questions? No, go ahead to the agenda. To the agenda. 22B committee meeting was held February 9th at 9 a.m. That's all I have. Mr. Panzella.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Renzi.
I have nothing, Mr. Ghost covered it all.
Anything else, Mr. Ghost?
I have nothing else, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hirschman. Under Transportation, Mrs. Sankston.
Request approval of the additions, updates to the bus van drivers list. No questions or objections, I would like that on the agenda.
Hearing none, we'll place that on the agenda.
Mr. Martray?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sankston. And then on the President's report, we have no public comment. Anything, Dr. Coons?
I just would like to remind everyone that kindergarten registration begins next week. So if you have a child and you need to register and you haven't started on the registration, it's available. And if you have questions, please call the building that you need to register for.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Nothing,
All
Mike,
righty.
thanks.
Let's adjourn this meeting. I have a child. Dave, do you have a child?
Well, I'm not sure. I can check.
You off work too?